All right, well, good evening, everyone. It is Wednesday, July, I believe, the 9th. And right now, I am doing a special live broadcast covering the General Conference session currently happening right now. The General Conference session for 2025. This is part one of an update that I'll be giving. So I'm giving this update to cover July 3rd through July the 8th. And if I were to encapsulate the sessions at the General Conference in that's happening in St. Louis, Missouri, I would say new leadership, bold mission, and prophetic urgency. I think that those three words best encapsulate kind of what we're dealing with when we think about what's happening with the world church. So again, tonight it will be part one. I'm covering when it started, July 3rd, up through yesterday, July 8th. Again, it's in St. Louis, Missouri, and I will give another update later at the end of the week, maybe the start of next week. I just have to see because I'm getting updates myself on the ground in all the committees. And part two will cover everything that happened today, July 9th, all the way through its end, which is going to be interesting because we're going to see kind of what's happening with the world church. So, again, we have new leadership, prophetic mission, global strategy that is being formulated right now. And again, welcome to all of those right now who are joining me live to part one of our exclusive coverage of the 62nd General Conference session of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, again held in St. Louis, Missouri. Now, this global event that is actually happening right now is really shaping the future of the Seventh-day Adventist movement. So let's go ahead and just dive right into what's happened from July 3rd to July 8th, and we'll take it day at a time. So on day one, July 3rd, it was the opening day, and there was a very heavy spiritual focus. The session began with prayer, it began with music, and then Ted Wilson opened with a spiritual message. And his message was focused on the everlasting gospel and the urgency of the three angels' messages found in Revelation chapter 14. That day as well, the delegates were approved, or I should say, the delegates approved the original agenda and appointed the 277 member nominating committee who are charged with selecting church leadership for the next 5 years, which is when they're planning on doing the next GC session. There were a few motions, such as attempts to reopen the church's immunization stance, but that motion was rejected because they wanted to maintain focus on mission and not on division. So that's what happened on day one. So it was kind of a big day because their focus on the everlasting gospel and just getting the delegates to approve the agenda. Day two began on July 4th of all days, Day of Independence, and there was a presidential election and a historic moment at that moment when it happened. So that was breaking news because it really is beginning a new era. Urton C. Kohler, Pastor Kohler, Elder Kohler, was elected as the new General Conference president, and he replaced Elder Ted Wilson after 15 years of service. So Kohler, what's interesting about him is if you get a chance to hear him speak online, he is the first South American to hold this role, and he's bringing some deep field experience and a very strong commitment to global mission and strategic planning, which I found very interesting because that's exactly what he was doing as the executive secretary of the General Conference, was really focused on global mission. Well, that strategic plan, global mission, is now going to be re-highlighted again to a level that we haven't seen since the 1990s. In his first words as president, Elder Kohler stated, and this is his quote, "We have no time to waste. The Lord is coming soon. This is a time for unity, mission, and prayer." And I love it because it really focused on the urgency of spreading the gospel to all of the regions around the globe, particularly in the 1040 window where we're having a tough time getting the gospel there. But it looks like there is a new era, a new global movement to really finish this work. And it was very powerful words from Elder Kohler to begin this new era of finishing the gospel work so that the Lord can come soon. And you get the sense that he believes that the Lord is coming actually really soon. So that was day 2. Day 3 was July 5th, and July 5th was on Sabbath. So they did a mission report and Sabbath worship that day. Global mission in action was sort of the theme for the day. What is happening around the globe? Elder Ted Wilson delivered a major report, and he highlighted several things. First of all, the explosive evangelistic success in Papua New Guinea. Many of you probably realize there was over 400,000 people in Papua New Guinea baptized last year. Well, the new report is that there are 10,000 plus Bible groups. I mean, that's crazy. 10,000 plus Bible groups, 23,000 health outreach cases, and massive baptisms that are happening right there in that region. There was also a report that Adventist hospitals, universities, and media ministries are reaching millions worldwide. And I know that I can attest to that because even the Future of Hope Ministries is reaching a broad base, and it seems like the Holy Spirit is working through these mediums. But the report is that the Adventist hospitals, universities, and media ministries are just basically doing a great job at reaching millions of people through those media. The Sabbath worship featured, of course, you can imagine a lot of music, powerful music, and a sermon that was focused on the second coming and being a faithful witness. So again, the mission of finishing the gospel, the urgency and the imminency of the second coming. I'm so glad that the General Conference started out with the 2 days just powerfully focusing everyone's attention on the fact that it's urgent now, it's imminent. You get the sense that they're feeling that Jesus is coming soon, and now we got to refocus all our energies and focus on just finishing the gospel work. So that was day 1, 2, and 3. On day 4, July 6th, that would have been on, I believe, Sunday, there was a secretary's report and a membership challenge. And if I were to put it into a formula, the formula that was given is this: growth plus attrition. So growth is like how the church is growing. Attrition is all the people we're losing. And that equals our next battlefield. So we're doing a great job at bringing new people in, but we're doing a horrible job at keeping them in. And so this is now the new focus for the General Conference, for the church. So the outgoing secretary, Elder Erten Kohler, who is now our new General Conference president, he's the one who gave the report, and here's what he reported. Worldwide membership has grown to, now just check this out. Our membership in the Adventist movement is now 23.7 million members strong. 23.7 million. That makes us the fifth or the fourth largest Protestant group on the planet. So that's our worldwide membership. However, there is an ongoing challenge, and that is that, get this, 43% of the members have been lost over a period of time. So it didn't all happen at once. It didn't happen just this year. But when they looked at the over a segment of time, 43% of our members have been lost. And that points us definitely pointing us to the need for deeper discipleship and really not just baptism. So baptism is important, but there needs to be follow-up and a focus on discipling new members in integrating them into congregations. Over 10,000 new churches were planted in the last 5 years, and that's really amazing. If you take a look in the last 5 years since 2020, over 10,000 brand new churches have just popped up. That's when you break that down, that's one new church every 2.8 hours. So basically one church is popping up every, say, 3 hours. So the church is doing a good job in spreading the gospel, but we have to do a better job at keeping people in. So the mission refocus was definitely presented in that light. So there is now a global strategy focusing on several regions beyond North America. So let me just give that report to you. The global strategy focuses on 10 unreached countries, 10 urban centers, and 10 people groups. And so that's a strategy. So try to reach 10 unreached countries, 10 urban centers, and 10 people groups. Kohler emphasized, and this is his quote again, the mission field is not just far away, it's your city, your neighborhood, your coworkers. So definitely getting it more grassroots, a lot more organic, not just looking into the foreign fields, but also taking a look at what's happening in the urban city centers. We know that there's a lot of prophecies about what's going to happen in the major cities. So again, you get this urgent message that we got to focus in the inner cities, in neighborhoods, and make that the mission field. Okay, that was day 4. Now day 5 was July 7th, which was just 2 days ago. The treasurer gave his report, and we had a report on the health of our finances as a world church. So now I know those of you watching online may or may not know how the tithe and offering operates in the Seventh-day Adventist denomination. But the tithe that is collected from the local church is remitted up into the local conference. And then the conference holds a certain percentage. And then the remainder is pushed up to the unions. And then the union keeps a percentage. And then the rest of that goes up to the division. And then the division keeps a percentage. And then percentage goes up to the general conference. So this is the report that we got on day 5, July 7th. So, and maybe what I can, if I were to give this a title, I would say God's faithfulness in the numbers. In other words, we are seeing that the church is being blessed. So the treasurer, Paul Douglas, presented some very encouraging news, because when you look at what's happening in the nation, you look at other churches and other denominations, they're not doing so well. But the Seventh-day Adventist Church seems to be doing really fantastic. God is really blessing the mission and the collections for getting those funds into the global mission areas. So tithe and offerings increased by 16% over the last 5 years. So we have seen a really good increase of about 3% every year. So we've had a total increase of 16% over the last 5 years. The church's Mission Impact Fund has supported thousands of frontline efforts. So the Mission Impact Fund is the fund that's used for evangelists and pastors that go into the mission field, as well as supporting local missionaries and supporting conferences that are supporting the work in unreached areas. And the church's Mission Impact Fund has supported thousands of these frontline efforts, and the investments in education, health, and publishing continue to bear fruit globally as well. So again, the universities, the academies, all the schools, elementary schools, our clinics, our hospitals, health, and also our publishing houses where we're producing materials, all of those are continuing to bear fruit globally. The General Conference is committed, they say, to financial transparency and accountability, and ensuring funds are following the mission that we are set about to do. And then yesterday was day 6, July 8th. Actually, what is the date? Today's the 9th. So yesterday they had the business session, policy updates, and they made a spiritual appeal. So what they did is they took a look at the structure of the church and the movement of trying to support the mission field through the infrastructure. So delegates approved 11 brand new union level administrative fields. Okay, so if those of you watching online don't know how it operates, you have a local church. All the churches are grouped in a region, and it falls under a local conference. And then the conference, together with other conferences, fall under a union. And then that union is one of several unions that fall under the big division. So for myself, I pastor a church in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm just one of many sister churches in, there are 70 churches in Arizona, but we fall under the Arizona Conference. Arizona Conference is grouped together with the states of California, Nevada, Utah, and Hawaii. And together, collectively, those states make up what we call the Pacific Union Conference. So here, the delegates approved 11 new union level administrative fields, reflecting really major church growth in places like, and here's where they did it, Philippines, because they've had a tremendous growth there, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, South Sudan, Ghana, and Cameroon. So if you look at those places like that, in 11 areas, they have grown so much to where they need to have union field offices that help support the local conferences that then support the local churches. So that would be Cameroon, Ghana, South Sudan, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, and Philippines. So very diverse. They did start to look at the church manual, and they began discussions. Now, for those who are totally into policy and procedure, you can get really excited that the church manual is being looked at. For people like me that absolutely fall asleep because I did, all these years of law school, I don't want to keep reading policy, but it's okay. We'll get the final update, and then I will just look at it and say, good to go. But the church manual discussion began, and here's what they looked at. They want to streamline credential and license content. So for pastors and for those who receive credentials and licenses, they want to look at streamlining the content there. There was a proposal to rewrite a divinely appointed ministry that was sent back for more review. So they're looking at a rewrite on a divinely appointed ministry. They did prayer sessions and devotions that emphasize revival, emphasize unity, obviously, and also emphasize preparing the world for Christ's soon return. So again, you get the sense that everyone at all different levels, from general conference to the divisions, all the way down to the unions, everybody's getting the sense that the world is now coming to an area where Jesus could be coming back. And I think that's really exciting, the fact that everybody in the global movement is now seeing the signs. Now, of course, not everyone sees that, but I mean, at the leadership level, we're seeing a lot of talk about it. There are definitely some spiritual themes that emerged, and I like to just highlight 5 of those areas. Throughout those first 6 days, there are several clear themes that have surfaced. Number 1, the urgency of Christ's return. Now, here's a takeaway for you and I. We basically have no time to waste. And I think that's the urgency of Christ's return. And I think that is one of the biggest spiritual themes that is coming out at the General Conference session. Number 2, a refocus on mission, or taking the mission and refocusing it. So, and what they want to do is they want to take hard to reach areas now and evangelize those areas. So not just keep going into the areas that we've already been, but going into the hard to reach areas. Number 3, taking a look at membership, but looking at it through the lens of discipleship. So it's not just baptism, but it's also nurture. So nurture, don't just baptize. So that's the third theme. The fourth theme, I think, that is coming out of these first 6 days is really the spirit of unity. They don't want any divisive talk. They want to make sure the whole world is on the same page. No room for division in God's church. And so this is kind of the rhetoric that we're getting, the spirit that everyone is getting from the General Conference, and also the delegates from around the various field regions and divisions around the globe. Everybody agrees that we need to be together and not have anything that brings dissension in the church. And then I think the fifth area that has been a strong, clear theme is financial faithfulness, that recognizing that God is definitely providing and that we need to continue to be faithful in what we do at the local level, and then what that translates into the conference, which translates into the union, then up at the division level. So that's what we get from the last several days. So what does this really mean for you and me? If you're a church member watching this, if you're an outsider just curious about what this is all about, or if you're a pastor, I think here's what you need to take from what's going on in the world church, because this is pretty major what's happening. Now is the time to join the mission. In other words, reach your local city, your workplace with the gospel. There's no more time to waste. This is the time that you have to really get on your knees and pray, Lord, what can I do? And have the Lord guide you, open those doors. And at times it might require a lot of faith because you don't know how you're going to do it. But God always, if he called you to do and you have that desire and God put that in you, God will make that possible for you to do. And I know some of you watching in the outlining areas, you feel like things are dead in your area. Well, God is calling you to make it alive then and do what you can in your local area. So that's the first thing. I think the second thing is what we can do is we're listening to the first half of this general conference session is that we really need to go a lot deeper in terms of building real spiritual communities, not just programs, not just saying, hey, we got to just do a Bible study just for the sake of doing a Bible study, but really creating a community that people can come and discover Jesus because of our testimony. So really building spiritual communities, not just programs. The third thing that we can do right now, what this means for us, is we need to pray for our leaders. And here's the thing. I know that we don't agree with everyone, but at the end of the day, Jesus still died for everyone and all these leaders. So we need to pray for all the administrative leaders at the general conference, at the divisions, all the way down to the unions, and then at the local conferences, and especially the front line guy or men and women that are doing the boots on the ground, which is your pastor and your elders. So pray for your leaders, because as new initiatives are being rolled out, your support is really going to matter. As we begin to take a look at what is coming down through our church, we got to be all on the same page is what they're trying to do, and make sure that we are working together. You can still do your independent Bible study. You can still have your independent ministries that you're doing, but at the same time recognize that God is still working through a movement to kind of reach unreached areas. So just pray for the new leaders as new initiatives are rolling out. And I think the fourth thing that you can do right now as you're hearing this is just stay informed. This isn't just global and what we're talking about on a global scale. It actually comes right down to what is happening at the personal level, at the community level, and recognize that at the end of the day, these people, that's what God calls the church. And these people who were called, and we may not agree with everyone, but at the same time, you can't judge anyone. So we just have to recognize that we do our part, pray for them. This is still your church. We're still one people. God is still coming back. And I know that if you're watching this, you believe, and that you're just asking yourself, what do I need to do? So as I close out this live report here, and we took about the last 25 minutes, I think there is a call to action for those of you on the Future of Hope Ministry site. I would like for you just to think about what you're hearing. What do you think of the changes and the direction so far that you've heard? I will give a second report on what's happened today, and then maybe wait till after the week is over, and then I'll give my second half report. But what do you think of those changes that I mentioned and the direction so far? So drop your thoughts and your comments in the comments below this video. I am going to take this live session. I'm going to produce a video, so you can wait till I produce that and put your thoughts in there, because I am gathering these thoughts. You can also like this video, because the more that you like and share it with members of your church, it helps the YouTube algorithm send it to more people in the Adventist church, or those who are Christian, or those taking Bible studies that are interested in what is happening, what I just reported on. It'll send it to those individuals as well. And then definitely another action that you want to do is subscribe to the channel, because I am going to be posting part 2 that will cover July 9th through July 12th. And it's going to include some final decisions that were made. You're not going to want to miss that, because that's going to be what happened at the end of this whole general conference session that will impact those at the local level. There's going to be some pretty major worship moments. I think is going to be the call to action on sort of where the church is feeling where we are in the timeline of prophecy. And then there is going to be a closing vision of the General Conference that I'm pretty sure that we're all going to want to hear what that vision and mission, how it, well, maybe not the mission, but how the vision is taking the mission into a local and out into the world again. All right, so that's it for tonight. I want to thank everyone who were able to come on and watch this. Also, people who are going to watch the recording of this video, I want to thank you again. I'm going to try to do another one of these on the 13th, which would be, I think, Sunday. So that way it's hot off the press. Don't forget to watch the other programs that are coming up. It is Wednesday tonight, so this kind of covers the prayer meeting night. And then on every day, I'm posting 4 devotionals, one at 6 in the morning, one at 10 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and 6 at night. Make sure you check those out every day. And then on Friday, the Gospel Lounge hour that we did last Sunday is going to go live and premiere. So that was produced. And then on Sabbath Saturday, I have a new video on God's love. You want to make sure that you watch out for that. And then next Sunday, I'll see you again at 7:30 for the Gospel Lounge Hour Live. Okay, everyone. So that's the update. Pray for your leaders, your pastor. Pray for the church. And definitely what's exciting is that everyone knows that Jesus is coming soon. And so until we meet again, may the good Lord bless and keep you. Bye, everyone.